Humidus Podcast.
Welcome, all you beautiful bastards, to the Humidus Podcast with me, yo boy Hammer. And by my side, it is the Eldritch Professor himself, Stef.
Hello, everybody. It's been a while.
It's been a while. We've tried to produce content for you, but we've had some technical difficulties.
Well, yes, the Omnissiah did not bless our efforts. Our praying has been too weak, and our flesh has been too strong.
We didn't burn enough incense. That's it.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
Jesus, if we don't buy like 3 packs of like budget incense and burn them all in the room at once, it doesn't work.
I wonder where you get budget incense, like for this purpose.
I don't know.
Would you get that? Which store would you go to for that?
Maybe you can go to my store. I'm sure I can get
Alibaba,
something.
probably.
Oh yeah, maybe Alibaba as well.
You can order like a ton of budget incense. I actually tried to, like in my job, I have loops, which are basically glasses that have loops in them. For work, and the loops have a very focused, powerful light on top of them.
Oh yeah.
And this light is connected to a battery, and that connection has fucked itself royally, and it's very, very expensive to get that fixed. So
how much we talking?
I tried, maybe like 5,000 kroner or something like that.
What the fuck? I almost choked on my drink.
So they know how to make money over there at the loop store. Jesus, or the company that provides that. But the thing is that I've been trying to mend that problem myself. So I've been acquiring or trying to acquire some parts, and I need what's called a 3.5 millimeter DC power jack.
Oh yeah.
Which is like basically like a 3.5 millimeter audio jack, just with a single band, with a mono band. And it's fucking impossible to get. So I tried to, I scoured the internet, and the only place I could find it was like on Alibaba, where you could buy, the least amount you could buy was 100 units. It's like, and that was like, the guy, you had to kind of contact a guy in China, and he was like, "What? Why are you just buying 100? I mean, the orders are usually like for 100,000 of these, you know." And I'm like, I'm just gonna repair my glasses, okay, or my battery. So yeah, that's a small little project that I've been doing.
But did he let it go through, or?
Not yet. So the thing is that me being so unexperienced with Alibaba orders, I wasn't attentive enough. So when he answered me, I was very late to answer. Let's just say I was like, it was a week in between answers. So I think that he might have given me up for 100 units, which was basically like $20 for 100 of these plugs. So
right. And shipping expenses are probably gonna eat away most of that anyway.
Yeah. So he's not gonna make a lot of money on me. Anyway, small digression there. Well, yeah.
What were we talking about before that? Oh yeah, the incense thing.
Yeah.
I have another proposal for how you can do that. If you like to play with a little bit of chaos here and there, as we all do. You just, if you have an Amazon Alexa, and then you just ask it, Alexa, can you buy me some cheap incense? And then you just see what you get.
Oh, that sounds like a scary proposition.
Burnable cyanide coming right up.
Yeah. Or illicit substances, maybe not on Amazon, but I wonder how kind of persistent Alexa would be executing that.
I don't know.
To what lengths she will go.
But hey, this is a Humidus approved research project. So for those of you listeners out there that actually possess and Alexa, why don't you try and get back to us? Tell us how it went.
That would be an interesting story for
This
sure.
is not a scam.
No. So, what have you been up to, Mister? I've heard that you've acquired a certain relic, a certain STC relic.
Yes, the Space Hulk exploration has been very kind to me, and this is very relevant to worship as well,
Yeah.
because I recently got the Series X. I got it. It actually arrived on release day, but since I got it at a pickup point, the I was asked to, like, my shift started at 4 p.m. and then my boss called me like, "Hey, is it possible for you to start like 2 hours earlier?" And I'm like, "Oh shit, sure." So I
Mm.
did, and then of course, so I started at 2 p.m. and then my delivery arrived at 3 p.m. Yeah, so I was like, "Oh fuck."
Bummer.
So, and of course, I work until 11:15, and the store is closed. I can't pick it up, so I had to wait until the next day. But I've had it since November 11th.
Yeah. So you've been like for roughly 4 days now.
Yeah, pretty much. And I've had some time with it, and
Hmm.
I went a little bit ham on buying some games for it, so that I could,
You did.
yeah,
So you could.
yeah. I bought 3 games from the launch lineup essentially, and then the rest is just all Game Pass. Uh, so I bought. Well, first of all, let's get into the Xbox itself. It's a monolith. It's not as big as I thought it would be when I saw the pictures and read all the articles about like how massive it is and chunky boy, whatever. Is
Yeah.
actually not. I feel like the PS4 Pro took up more inconvenient space because this one is more
Yeah.
tall than it is anything else, and it's really compact too. So it weighs like 6 to 7 kg. So it's pretty heavy for a
Oh, that's
console.
heavy. Yeah.
And I did also notice the thing that a lot of people have pointed out, that it is an absolute fingerprint magnet. So
Hmm.
I do feel that, but I really don't. It doesn't bother me.
That's
Uh,
really not important if it's just gonna stand there.
yeah, and another good point about that, like the looks of it, is that
Hmm.
it's really easy for it to blend into your living room.
Yeah.
So and other than that, it looks like a monolith, so you can dedicate it to some elder god and start praying. You know?
Yeah. And how can is it silent? Is it like you
Yes.
know? Yeah, it's silent. Yeah.
Well, um, a small disclaimer is that I play usually with a headset, but
Okay. Yeah.
I've never actually noticed anything. I've never used a disc in it either.
No.
But just normal operation is very, very quiet.
Mm, that's
So
important.
yeah, I like that. It's very sleek and it's ultra fast. Everything you do in it, it's like whether it's just booting up or whether it's switching between apps and all that. That's not exaggerated. It's very fast.
Yeah.
Um, and I noticed that in some games too. Like for example, I bought Call of Duty,
Yeah.
and when I play that game on multiplayer, you get the matchmaking lobby, and then you have the loading. And usually, I'm used to, like, while it loads, I can go pick up another cup of coffee or whatever.
Yeah.
But now it's so instant. Like, I barely see the loading screen. And if the round is starting, then usually what happens is, instead of waiting for the loading, I'm waiting for other players for a long time, so that they can finish loading.
Yeah.
And then, but if the round has already started, if I join in the middle, it's like ding, and I'm there. And I was like, oh shit, pick a class, and then you're already like just thrown right into the action. So I love that.
Interesting. Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So I got that game. I got Valhalla, and
Hmm.
I got Yakuza Like a Dragon.
Yeah. Like you said, you.
So I would say Valhalla surprised me in a lot of ways because it's very pretty, and
Hmm.
the maps are absolutely massive, and the draw distance is like almost infinite. Um,
Oh.
yeah, it's super pretty. I haven't tried it 4K. I don't have a 4K TV, but what happens is
No.
that even so, the lighting is beautiful, the scenery is beautiful, and when you go on top of those like synchronization points, which is like on the top of mountains and
Mm.
whatnot, and it just pans around Norway, the whole of Riga fylke,
Yeah.
and it just like you just the whole sprawling landscape.
Mm.
Like there's never an FPS drop. I never noticed anything like that. It's always a smooth 60,
Ooh.
and it's absolutely nice. And when you fast travel, it takes a couple of seconds only for me.
Damn.
So these things, I'm really happy with the performance on that. I'll probably talk more about the game itself in depth at a later time. I have some opinions on that as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then the latest one I tried was Yakuza, which also it's not the most graphically demanding game amongst the bunch. So it is of course a butter smooth 60 FPS, I assume, and it loads super fast. When you go into the menu has like a render of the main character because it's a JRPG now. So you have like that party screen is like part of the menu. It's pretty sleek. And in the PS4 Pro, if you had that kind of menu, it will take like a second to pop up. But now it's
Yeah.
just instantaneous, and the model is rendered instantaneous. It's all very very fast and smooth, and I feel like a
You
spoiled child.
you feel the power.
Yeah, you do. You
You
really
feel
feel
the
the
power.
power.
What
So
about the controller? Is that any different from the previous Xbox consoles?
it feels weightier. It feels a little bit more premium, if I'm to be
Mm-hmm.
honest. Because and it also has this. The surface of it is
Mm-hmm.
a little bit more rough for better grip.
Yeah.
And but other than that, it's almost identical. Except that it's a little bit heavier and it's a little bit more, like I said, like the exterior feels a bit more expensive, so to say, like a bit more premium.
Yeah. Do you charge
It
it
does,
with like a USB-C or something, or?
that's the thing. You have the USB C, and then you have AA batteries. So they still use that, similar to the previous generations of Xbox. But
Yeah.
I, of course, with the standard controller, even if your battery's empty, you can still play by just having it plugged in with the
Okay.
USB C. So
Yeah.
I
So you
was
can
happy
have like
about
a
that.
wired controller, or you have the disposable batteries.
Yeah, exactly. So in that regard, of course, PS4 I'd say is a little bit better because, of course, they have the chargeable battery.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I'm sure that at some point maybe you can get some kind of
Charger
chargeable
pack or
pack.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably.
So yeah. Oh, and a side note, it's like be careful if you're gonna buy Call of Duty on the Series X, because I made a huge blunder here, and I feel like I went through, I bought it through the in-game store, or like not the in-game store, but the in-console store, the Xbox store. And I got the standard edition. So you have like standard edition, you have the cross gen bundle, and then you have some ultimate edition or something. So the cross gen bundle includes both the Xbox One version and the next gen, the XS optimized version.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing: when you see Call of Duty Standard Edition at $70 um, in the Series X store, you automatically. I hope I'm not the only one that automatically thinks that that's going to be the XS version.
No, that would seem very, very. I mean, very obvious that a $70 title, in the menu is not. Was it? Wasn't it? Was it just the
It
old
was,
version?
yeah. So I found out the hard way because I bought it, and I installed it. I was like, oh, it's 85 gigs. Oh, okay, it's not too bad. And the Xbox really pulls out, like, can take advantage of like really take advantage of your fiber speed as well. So
Hmm.
mine downloads at about 200 megabit per second. So even 130
Ooh,
gigs takes like 40 minutes and it's down. Um,
that is nice, and that is important too because downloading these games can take forever,
yeah,
and it's a very like quality of life thing.
yeah,
Especially when you buy a game, you get that feeling that, oh, I want to play it now. I'm gonna
yeah,
buy it. And especially with computer games, it's like sometimes you just feel like, oh, I want a new game. You browse through some games, and then this looks cool, and you buy it and you start downloading, and 4 or 5 hours later, it's ready to play, and then you're not ready, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Then it's like, okay, so I'm gonna go to bed now, and then you
Yeah.
go to work the day after, and then you come home, and then, you don't wanna play it anymore.
Yeah.
So it's like you just postpone playing it. And I feel that especially when you get older,
Yeah.
it's actually quite important that you start playing the new game like almost right away, as
Yeah.
so you can familiarize yourself with it and kind of get that, so you want to play it again.
Yeah, I can relate to that. Absolutely.
Because it's almost like a workload to get familiarize yourself with a
Yeah,
new
it
game
is though,
sometimes.
isn't it? That's
Yeah.
really weird. I really feel that now too. Like how exactly what you just described. And once, if it's a game that takes a little bit of dedication to get into,
Hmm.
and then you get over that initial hype phase, and you're just like, let's say you start a strategic game or something, and then you like do it the next day, you're just like, you play a little bit, but then you kind of get a little bit restless, and you're just like, nah, I'll
Yeah.
come back to this later, and
Yeah,
then you just
totally.
never do.
Yeah, but and the thing is that it pays dividend if you kind of invest the time in it just to
Yeah,
get past the initial learning curve and learning the systems and all.
yeah,
But having played so many games, you just feel that initial period is, so you need to kind of exploit your own window of interest for the game,
yeah, yeah.
and then if not, if getting even more meta, the download speed kind of plays a factor into that, because
It does.
if it's too delayed, then you just, oh no, now I'm not that interested anymore, and then you don't have that, and you might like start it and play it for 2 hours and then never play it again, like you said.
Yeah,
Like,
because then I mean, I guess that's fine for Game Pass games, but it's when you paid like 70, $80 for a game, that's
yeah,
certainly not a position you want to be in.
that's a bummer.
But fortunately, though, for Call of Duty, well, it starts unfortunate because I downloaded it. I was really excited to play, and then I got into it, and for some reason, I mean, the graphics looked okay.
Yeah.
It looked kind of as expected, and then but I hopped into single player, and it didn't feel like 60 FPS or 120 or whatever it runs at, but it didn't feel that smooth. And I'm like, this
Oh.
kind of feels like 30.
Hmm.
And there were some graphical glitches too in the cinematics, and I'm just like, is this what's going on here?
Yeah.
Is it one of those like launches that are really rough, like the Battlefield has had quite a rough experience with?
Yeah, like it's latency.
Yeah, and I thought maybe it was that, so I tried multiplayer, and it was the same thing. Like it felt like 30 FPS, felt sluggish. And but and I did really well. I felt, I got like I absolutely clapped cheeks that first round. Had a lot of
Yeah.
fun, but then it hard crashed my Xbox. Just completely turned it off.
Ooh, whoa.
And I'm like, "Wait, what?" And then this was like 45 minutes after launch at midnight.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh fuck. So I tried to just search up on Google or Reddit or whatever to see if someone had the similar problem, but obviously
Mhm.
it was quite early.
Too soon. Yeah.
But it turns out somebody did have this problem,
Oh.
and yeah, and then they suggested like, hey, just check the size of your download
Hmm.
because the XS version is supposed to be 130 gigs. And then he was like, oh, but mine is 80. I was like, yeah, that means you downloaded the wrong version. And
Jeez.
yeah,
That
and then I
realization.
yeah, and I was like, "Oh no!" And I checked it, and of course it was 80 gigs. And I'm just like,
Hmm.
"Fuck me in the asshole," and call me a bitch.
How many extra
Because
sales do you reckon they get on that?
I
Because
reckon quite a lot, but I also reckon they get a fuck ton of refunds.
yeah.
Because that's exactly what I did. I'm just
Okay,
like,
so you could, yeah, you can refund it. Yeah.
yeah, I refunded it through my PC. Just like put in the refund request through my account,
Yeah.
and then I just put in an additional note that, hey, I bought the wrong version because it said standard through the Series X store. I thought this was the XS version,
Hmm.
so I hope I can get a refund on this, so I can just go and buy the cross-gen bundle instead. And then I think a lot of people had this problem because I just refreshed it just for fuck's sake 5 minutes later, and they approved the refund.
Yeah,
Literally 5 minutes later.
they were probably just kidding. But they need to be on the ball on like launch days like that,
Yeah,
because there are so many new players just surging in.
but I'm thinking they've already had the naming issue with the Xbox One, the Xbox One X, and the Xbox Series X. A lot of
Yeah,
people ordering the wrong thing, and now they're doing the same kind of confuse. Well, of course, this is not Microsoft, but it's the same confusing bullshit with Call of Duty. So be mindful of that, you guys. Be sure to get the next gen version. Look for the XS icon. It might be that I'm a dumbass, but I'm sure there are some other dumbasses out there as well.
yeah, but
So
it's
at
like
least
a
now you're
new
aware.
system, and like
Yeah.
the XS icon, people don't know that, people don't know that it's supposed to have an icon, and
Yeah, and it's easy to
you said,
overlook.
$70.
Mm.
$70,
Yeah.
Jesus,
699 crowns, bro.
that's
For like, yeah.
That's a very expensive price for such an old game,
Yeah.
with the compatibility patch or whatever. I imagine it can
Well,
be
it's
very hard.
it's not a
To,
it's not an old game though. It is the newest one. But
yeah, but like when you have the upgraded version,
yeah.
it's so confusing to have that as a standalone title.
Yeah, there are some kinks that needs to be worked out here in terms of like being transparent.
Yeah,
So, but of course, it's at launch, and they were really helpful. Of course, they refunded immediately, and I got to
yeah.
download it at
So
200 megabit, so I got to play the real version like hour and a half later. So it wasn't too bad,
no, that's
bro.
that's at
But yeah,
least a positive. Okay, so the Xbox Series X is for now a very positive experience,
oh
you would
yeah,
say?
yeah, I'm loving it. It's everything I hoped for and a little bit more. So
Yeah. Which one of the games? Okay, so talk a little bit about Valhalla then in depth, maybe. Um, so I've been following it, and it, you know, it's gotten mediocre to positive reviews,
mm,
I guess.
yeah,
Not like people are not up in arms about it, but they seem to think it's an okay iteration.
yeah,
With a lot of the old faults of the Assassin's Creed games, but some improvements here and there, and some systems that are very similar with, still
yeah,
some issues.
yeah, yeah. Well, for one, this one really doesn't reinvent the wheel in any way, shape, or form. It's very
No.
pretty. It's Eivor is a cool character, and especially for us that are familiar with the history of the Vikings
Yeah.
and stuff to some
Is
extent.
that would you say that they have done that right? Like up until now? I'm assuming they didn't
Historically
finish it.
accurate, I don't know. I guess in terms of what character is in what year, sure.
Yeah.
Let's go for that. But I'm not like that familiar that I know that. Oh yeah, Harold Fairhair was at this place at this moment in his life. Like I don't know that much,
No.
but
No, I'm not talking about that, but just like, making you feel like this is authentic. Yeah.
uh,
Not being
that's a yes and no actually,
yeah.
because um there is some things here, especially in the beginning. I felt like it was a little bit too. How should I explain that? It's you know
Did you
they're like
recognize
the
Scandinavia?
sure, sure.
Yeah.
The aesthetic is beautiful and it's really
Mhm.
nice. That's one of the absolute strengths of the game. The look of it all
Yeah.
is absolutely great. Here's the thing I found a little bit like for example in Black Flag they did a great job with making you feel immersed in the experience with the shanties, with the like everything fit. But here,
Mhm.
imagine if the way they handle the Vikings' way of speaking is kind of like if in Black Flag all the pirates were like, "Yar, matey, salty sea dogs." It feels a little bit like a parody.
Yeah. Yeah, I
It's
understand
too
what you mean.
much. Like every sentence is like, "Oh, Odin's balls," or like, "Oh yeah, we'll
Yeah.
drink Odin's mead." It's like always something about this. It's just like, I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
You've watched 2 seasons of Vikings. I get it, bro.
Yeah.
Like, it feels
Uh,
too. It's too much. It's a little bit
it's like
cringy at times.
yeah, it's like Vikings from an American perspective, like, or
Uh,
you know,
yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
Vikings
maybe.
were just one facet of like the Viking era or the life in the Viking era.
Yeah, and I don't mind that the warrior culture and all that is fine. It's all good. But then it's just that the way they speak and stuff, it's
It's
yeah,
almost jarring because it's too overdone.
yeah, it's a little bit too on the nose. It's a little bit like
Hmm.
spoon feeding you, like, ooh, they like mead and Odin and Thor.
Manly
That's
man.
yeah,
Let's
and
do
just
some
like
killing before we eat this boar and drink some meat. Yeah, like
yeah, like Odin curse you on this day. Let's drink mead, my brothers. It's like that all the time, and I'm just like, bro, I'm sure they had other things to talk about. It's just like
yeah.
so that was a bit jarring. It got a little bit better later, but it's especially in the beginning, I thought it was yeah, and it has some of the trappings of the typical Ubisoft open world titles, where
Mhm.
the unimportant NPCs
Mm.
they are really unimportant, and they did not get even 10% of the love as the same as the characters that. Well, this is not GTA kind of citizens, you know.
No,
They are
no.
just like not static, but they do like the same four animation loops that they do, and then some of the models looked really horrible. The faces were really bad, and I noticed it pretty early on, like in the beginning scene, because Eivor is a young kid, and he or she, you can choose, wakes up or like comes out. There's like a huge feast where Eivor's clan is supposed to swear allegiance to a king, and that's all well and good. But and there's like you come into this feast in like a long hall,
Hmm.
and there's these people dancing there that you can dance with. But it's essentially these two people holding shoulder to shoulder, dancing side by side, like a woman and a man. And their faces are so disturbingly stiff. And when you like dance with them, you kind of bow and just like it does a little animation, and that looks fine. But then as soon as you just stand in front of them and look at them, you stand there for a little bit. They just do the same thing, just looking straight ahead. And if you move to the side of them, they follow you with their face a little bit, but then they do the exact same animation. It was really like immersion breaking.
Yeah, it's like almost a little bit like Oblivion,
Yeah,
the NPC Oblivion animations.
yeah, and I feel like I'm bashing the game a bit here. But apart from that, I felt the combat is really fun. The exploration is fun. The combat is like the bloodiest and most brutal it has ever been.
Okay.
There's like decapitations. You chop off limbs almost with every
Y-
kill, and the weapons are really cool because now
Yeah, I was
instead
gonna
of
ask you that because blending the assassin, style or kind of theme
yeah.
into like a very brawly melee type of Viking combat is, how did they manage that? Did you feel assassiny, or are you just basically a berserker warrior?
I feel like this was handled quite well because
Yeah.
the way they implemented the assassins in this game was kind of nice. It was done in a way that I felt made sense, and they kind of sort of like nudge and manipulate you a little bit indirectly into kind of getting interested in their order, because they kind of give you this really ornamented wrist blade and stuff and just ask you to try it out, and they just like nudge you. They're like,
Hmm.
oh, no, we're not trying to recruit you, blah blah blah.
Recruit you.
Wherever there's chaos in the world, we're there to try and help out. Like it's kind of like that. And
Yeah.
but the a really nice touch I thought was that there's two assassins, a master and an apprentice, that joins your childhood friend. They back from his journeys, and then they give you that blade, and Eivor being the testo warrior that he or she is,
Hmm.
like wears the blade on the overside of the arm instead of under, like
Yeah.
as is classic. And then they're like, oh no, Eivor, you're supposed to wear it like on the underside so that you conceal it. It's like, but why would I conceal it? I want people to see what's coming. And like you also eventually like, and I also that way I don't need to make the mistakes that you guys did. And then she references that they chop off their finger to have the blade come out of there.
Yeah.
But she's like cockily being like, "Nah, man, I want people to see what stabs them." So I thought
Hmm.
that was kind of like a nice touch.
Yeah.
Some good character moments. So there are definitely some good points there. The historical figures you meet are fun. You meet Harold Fairhair
Hmm. Harold
and all those
Fairhair.
people. Yeah, it's right after Ragnar Lothbrok's death, so they
Yeah.
reference that, and you meet some of his warriors as well.
Oh.
And so there's some good stuff here, and I love the combat. The gear is different because in Odyssey there was loot drops,
Yeah.
whilst here it's more like Dark Souls in a way because you find weapons and then you can just upgrade those.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
so
Can
it's
you
like set
buy
weapons.
or acquire weapons in another way, or?
You might be able to buy some of the optional weapons. I'm not sure yet, but mostly you buy materials and like upgrades for abilities and these kind of things. So I thought,
Yeah.
and the skill tree, the ability tree here is massive. It's kind of like Final Fantasy X's, that board.
Sphere grid. Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like that, so you can really build your character in different ways, which I thought was a nice touch.
Hmm.
So and the weapons are really fun to experiment with. Like for example, you really feel the difference in the reach of the weapons and like their strengths and weaknesses, and it will
Hmm.
really cater to different styles. So that was cool. That's some really good parts of it.
Yeah, and like the game starts off in Norway and
Yeah.
then moves on to England or
Yes, that's
Britain.
right.
Yeah.
That's right. Both places really nice. But so yeah, I feel like this game. I thought Odyssey maybe was better. I liked
Yeah.
Odyssey a lot better. Origins I didn't try, but I hear good things. But yeah, I guess for me this is like a 8 as far as the Assassin's Creed goes.
Mm. Yeah.
My favorite of all time is still Black Flag.
Yeah.
This doesn't come close to that, but it has some moments where it's worth playing. It's fun and it's long. It's a lot of content. So,
Yeah.
but it's
I mean, it sounds like you were like pleasantly surprised, but maybe that's because the expectations were not as high to begin with.
could be. It could be.
Yeah.
So, but if chances like if you like Origins and Odyssey, give this a try. And it is a fun experience. It's worth playing through for sure.
Mm. Yeah. So we're looking forward to kind of following your Xbox Series X explorations and seeing what kind of experience you have with the machine
Yeah,
as you play it. Um, I think that you've kind of chosen the right machine,
yeah,
especially within the long run, because it just seems like it's better executed all on all sides, on all aspects of of what a console should be.
yeah. I guess especially during the launch window, it
Yeah,
seems Xbox did it better. PS5 had some really um, rough issues, mostly I guess with logistics and stuff like that. But
yeah,
then
yeah,
yeah, I so far no problems. Um, so I'm really happy with it.
yeah. Okay. So now we're just gonna talk a little bit about some games that we've been playing, to and fro, off and
Hmm.
on. I know that you love to revisit old titles, Steph, as do I.
Yeah,
And we're gonna talk about those old games that just never you can just never kind of let go of them. You just
yeah,
always come back and you want more. And you always get that feeling as you play them that you're not gonna stop playing them.
yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
that this isn't the last time you're playing this game. There will be another time.
For sure.
Um and for me, I mean I love playing old games almost a little bit too much. So I'm a sucker for buying remasters and reworks and
Yeah,
old HD upgrade, all that shit. I am just a sucker for that. So been donating my money to a lot of up-resers, but
Yeah.
yeah. So we're just gonna talk a little bit about those types of games, and I know that you've been playing this title as well, and it's Heroes 3:
Oh,
Might and Magic,
like music to
which
my
is
ears.
which is a great game. Maybe one of the best games I've ever played.
Yeah, it's up
Um,
there.
it just has so much, nostalgia to it, and yet it's such a solid title that you just can always, revisit it and have a great time and sink hours into just one single game with the
Yeah,
computer.
it can take weeks if you play on with against the right opponents and stuff like that.
Easily, it's insane how many hours it takes with the game, and still you're invested, biting your teeth, grinding. You're gonna fucking kill that fucking, necro, or maybe tower or something
Yeah.
opponent that you fucking hated from turn one, and now and you battle for like the 50% mark of the map. And it's
uh,
been like that for like 500 turns or something,
yeah.
which we're gonna fucking win in the end,
And
yeah, that's great.
and sometimes even worse when you get stuck in that loop between trying to, as you run for one of your opponent's castles, he runs towards yours, so you're stuck in
Oh
this
yeah.
deadlock.
Oh yeah, and the worst thing, the autosave mechanic, you
Oh
can
yeah.
always load the last turn you had, and sometimes you kind of get stuck in an unwinnable position
Yeah.
with one of your heroes that maybe has some like weakened army or something, and his main army is just around the corner, but this is your main hero, so you can't fucking lose that hero.
Yeah.
And still, you don't have the money to retreat, uh, to fucking predicaments like that. And you can rage really badly in Heroes because you've sunken so many hours into the game, and sometimes you just fucking lose straight out. Like, yeah, running into some unforeseen situation.
What, like, yeah, what do you think, to you, what really makes this game special?
Oh, it's very hard to answer in a quick, surmised fashion.
Yeah,
But I
I got.
think it's very unique in the formula. Uh, I can't say that there are many games like it.
Yeah.
Some games have tried to replicate it, but that strategic, like fantasy grind, it has RPG elements, management elements, resource management, multiplayer, very long, drawn out strategic elements, and the amalgamation there is just very very hard to replicate and get anywhere else, I feel.
Yeah. Do you also feel like this game kind of came out in like a perfect time for it, because
Oh yeah.
it's in 2D, and the sprite work is really great. There's something about that aesthetic where they kind of took those old low poly 3D models and made them into sprites, and
Mm,
it gives them this kind of. Did you ever see Simbad of the Seven Seas, or like
yeah,
Simbad the Journeys, like that old
yeah.
pulpy
I
show?
saw that.
They look like that. They look like
Mm,
monsters from there, but in a good
yeah,
way. It
yeah, it's
really
a very
fits.
good way. It fits. So the artwork is stunning and it's timeless, and the 3D kind of remaster
Yeah,
looks worse
yeah, it does.
than the original because of I think the pixelation aids the eye, in drawing its own conclusion about, lines and shadows
Yeah,
and stuff like that. So it blurs a lot more, and then your imagination works, to your advantage here. Like the dragons and the other creatures look more realistic in a weird way,
yeah.
in the context of the artwork you're seeing and the art style.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah.
It makes it look like they are kind of like stop motion dolls to
Hmm.
some extent.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. I get what you're what you're saying, and I think that Like you said, the game just came out at a perfect kind of crossroads where pixel art was very at kind of peaking, in performance. What you could do with the like 3D models that are made into sprites.
Yeah.
And the gameplay, it's so vast. There's so many castles with a very diverse cast of monsters and abilities and stuff like that. You just feel that it's so fleshed out, and
Yeah.
you can make everything work as a strategy, even though some things are definitely more broken.
You can
Um,
see that. Yeah.
yeah, but but I mean like that type of brokenness is fun, especially when you play against a computer.
Yeah.
The CPU, you don't mind that. You just enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah. I mean, it's always funny when, since the hero normally can walk a relatively short distance on the map for each turn,
Mhm.
but then you if you're really unlucky and the CPU, the computer opponent, gets a hold of Dimension Door,
Yeah,
and
that can
suddenly
be
you're like, oh
really.
yeah, I'm safe, and then suddenly this guy on horses just comes like teleporting through the mountains and shit. It's like, I
Yeah.
wait, oh, you thought I was a continent away, but right now I am equivalent of a ballistic missile, and then
Hmm.
he just like, it's like North Korea
Fucking nukes
launched
you
that
down.
intercontinental, yeah, it just like
Yeah, yeah.
spawns there with its super army and just like fucking vaporizes your castle, and you're just like, oh, Dimension
Yeah,
Door,
that's
huh?
really, really OP. That's insanely OP. And if you get the angel wings as well as Dimension
Yeah,
Door, you can negate like terrain obstacles. You can just fly over mountains and stuff like that.
yeah.
And then you can just basically teleport your way all over the place, and you can really, really efficiently maneuver your hero
It's,
wherever you want.
have your horse run on water.
Oh yeah, have your horse run on water. You can't stop on water though. So to be fair, it's not that broken. and,
Well,
and
can
then
you
you got
imagine?
like, yeah.
No, I was just thinking the because your hero is representing your entire army, right? Just imagine
Mhm.
how that would look in real life. Let's say you have like 1,000 skeletons, you have 500 liches, you have like 10 bone dragons and all that, and fucking, let's say 500 zombies, and they're all just like walking across the ocean.
Yeah, like I always imagined that. Yeah, I always thought when you say it like that it's like a billion skeletons.
Yeah,
I always thought that that would it would look a little bit homogenous. It's like 50 dragons, but it's like 5,000 skeletons. Your entire army would be skeletons,
yeah,
in like a visual aspect of it. I always thought that would look kind of weird
yeah.
when I imagined it as a kid. But yeah,
And
I think that the system they have with the numbers and the damage and stuff representing each individual monster and how many they are, it's just such a genius way of doing it.
and yeah, and then you have the sound effects and the animations for the monsters. And like the funny thing is, the sound design in this game I thought was fucking brilliant, because you have the music is super memorable. I remember most of the tunes in my head just now, and it's been a while since I played it. And same
Oh
with the
yeah,
sounds, the sound effects. Like the ooh, whenever that
yeah,
whenever
yeah,
the
yeah.
goblin
The
dies, and you have
gremlin,
like
the gremlin, yeah,
the gremlin,
yeah.
and then you have like the sound it makes when the golem attacks, the
Walks and attacks, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
The armor, or his like metal body rattles around. I can hear those sounds as you're describing them, like
yeah,
clear to my inner ear.
yeah.
It's almost eerie how accurate I can hear that sound right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, you've been playing, and the sound design is amazing. It's out of this world.
Uh,
The theme songs for each castle also or each dungeon, it's just insane. It just depicts that feeling of the individual dungeon or whatever almost perfectly. It's like eerie how well they hit the nail on the head.
yeah. I mean, okay, I'm gonna test you. Which sound is this? Do 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 do.
What?
You know which
Do you
one that
think
is?
you think you can hum it accurately? Okay,
Yeah,
come on,
close
do it
enough.
again. Do it again. Come on. Okay, okay, I'm gonna be serious.
Yeah, you got this. It's the do
Come on.
do 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 do. You know that one?
Yeah, uh that's the come on, is it Inferno?
Nah, close. It's close.
It's okay, so it's the Necro,
Yeah, it's Necropolis.
but that one starts much more. It starts with doom
Yeah.
doom, you know.
It starts with a
Uh,
thumber.
it starts like yeah, and then it builds to that segment. Yeah, yeah. I was close, almost. It was in between the two of them, but
Yeah,
yeah.
it's funny because it's like, um,
Your performance though,
oh yeah,
impeccable,
I
impeccable.
know,
Yeah.
10 out of 10. But you
Hmm.
recognize it, and that's the important part. Like that's the point I was trying to get
Almost, yeah.
across.
Yeah, I recognize the song, but I can quite place it.
Yeah. So, and the other funny thing about this game, we touched upon it a little bit with Dimension Door, but like you have, there's so much things that are fleshed out in there,
Hmm.
and like there's so many spells, there's so many things that are in there. However, um, it's kind of like at that point it's impossible to balance, and it just seemed like the developers were like, yeah, that's fine,
Yeah,
just leave it as is.
a little bit. Yeah, and that's refreshing. Also,
Yeah, it's
they just
fun.
they have like some insane synergies with artifacts that are like yeah, like basically the 50% more damage with the element insert element here, like fire and lightning spells
Yeah,
and ice. That's they're just insanely powerful, and you can get a tome of magic also with all the air magic, so you can have like 50% more damage with air magic, and then you can have all the air air spells
yeah,
with like two artifacts. They are granted very powerful, but that's that's kind of insane. If you have expert air magic, then they basically don't cost any mana to cast them,
yeah.
so you can really abuse it. Really, kind of, if you get that synergy, even though that's hard to get. And also with archery, I think you can have like an insane amount of increased percentage of damage. And if you have like the Titans, the tower best creature that is ranged, you
Oh,
can
the Titan.
basically, yeah, you can basically kill anything with it. With one bolt of lightning.
Oh boy.
That fucking mega powerful bolt. Oh yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's like once you have the highest tier unit, why not also make it ranged for ultimate balance?
Yeah, but I mean, it doesn't really have that much of an effect because the highest tier creatures are almost always, able to traverse the entire map in one turn.
True.
So the only thing is the retaliation. But some creatures you do want the retaliation because like the black drakes, they'll like basically torch multiple creatures in standing in a row, so you can
Yeah.
kind of abuse that retaliation, so they won't want to attack you.
Yeah, man. I also love how the liches can just like AoE carpet bomb your own your own guys as well.
Yeah, and that's like uh a little bit annoying at times, especially when you haven't played, and if you forget that that you
Yeah.
can kill your own. Yeah, that can definitely screw you over.
Yeah, and it's just like another broken thing that I discovered I think the last time I played this game. And it was like with fire magic because you have that berserk spell.
Yeah.
And at level 1, that spell is like, yeah, it makes one one stack of creatures go berserk, as in like they attack indiscriminately, so they start attacking the ones around them, especially if you cast it in the beginning. But if you get it to level 5 or the max fire magic, you essentially give your entire enemy team super rabies.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fucking OP, man. It's insanely OP. And
Yeah.
like resurrection also, resurrection spell,
Yeah.
insane. Like if you have a lot of spell power and sometimes the computer uses that against you, you kind of kill a lot of their most powerful creature.
Yeah.
You know, like, yeah, okay, I can probably manage this. And then they'll just zip, and all of the creatures are just resurrected. And you're like, oh, fuck. Here comes trouble.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there are so
Oh.
many weird broken spells. And you know, Solmir, the
Yeah.
Solmire soul guy, he has the chain lightning spell from the get-go.
Yeah.
And if you can kind of encounter a medium level threat creature stack that are like maybe 4 creatures or 5 creatures separated, you know, so they're not all in one stack, you can use that and basically just annihilate them and level up like 3 levels, which is very powerful early on.
Yeah.
You know, you can just basically go straight to the enemy's castle and take it.
Yeah, and then let's not even begin with diplomacy. If you have a
Yeah,
diplomacy here,
yeah,
because it's like,
that's also really broken.
to put it in perspective, if you have diplomacy, there's a chance that when you meet, wild creatures or soldiers out in the field on the map, that instead of fighting them, they will try to join you. And if you have if you have it maxed out, most likely they'll join for free. And even if you have like a super plebeian army, you can just like convince super high tier units to join you. So like,
Yeah,
imagine this, like this hero. He's like a level 1 guy. He's chilling. He's good with words. Let's say level 5 then maybe, and he has master diplomacy, and then he has maybe like a posse of 5 spearmen and a crossbow dude, and you just walk up to like a black dragon, and somehow your exquisite way of words convince
yeah,
this dragon to be like, hey, you know what? Fuck whatever I'm doing right now. I'm joining you guys. Your posse seems
yeah.
fun. I want to be on your tour bus.
Oh yeah, I always imagine that kind of scenario. How he
Yeah.
kind of convinces the Manticore to
Yeah.
join him. The Manticore, like the 30 Manticores. Like, you got we got a common goal here, my
Yeah.
dude. You just we can just hang, have some beers,
Like,
chill with my crew. That's but yeah, but diplomacy can be really broken, especially the thing is that it snowballs. So if you get a really powerful creature
yeah.
early on, you can engage very hard stacks early on and level up really fast.
Yeah.
And in heroes, the levels are very important for the hero because the skills are so OP.
Yeah.
So basically you can, like you said, with the master diplomacy, you can fucking get a stack of black dragons, which is insane to get for free.
Yeah. And that's the kind of lovable kind of broken magic of Heroes 3. I think even diplomacy, even as broken as heroes can be balance wise when you go online, I think diplomacy is still banned from online play.
Yeah, I mean it should be because it's so broken.
Yeah, but that's saying something in that game, which is all about just exploiting the game to your
You know what?
to your
Now I
will.
want to play Heroes 3. I I have it installed.
Oh, you
I
do?
want to play it. Yeah, I do. Of
It's
course I
really
do.
one of those games that's on every PC I have. It's always installed.
Yeah. I bought the HD edition on Steam
Yeah.
just for availability, just so it would be, you know, easily playable.
Yeah, and but the HD edition has some other problems as well. So,
Yeah,
like for
sure.
example, it doesn't have 2 of the expansions.
That was
Um,
very annoying
yeah. So
that
I
they
guess
didn't include. Why? I mean, couldn't you just Yeah. It would be so easy. I mean, yeah, it's a little bit more work, but I mean, if you're lazily re-releasing the game just to make more money, why can't you just give us a little bit more? Just go a little bit further.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I think the best way to get the complete
Yeah.
edition, the best edition, is GOG probably, because it's
Yeah.
$10 for the complete edition with all the expansions, and it's the classic graphics and everything. Oh man,
What I
just the
mean, I've
sound
never
screen looks
used
so cool.
GOG. Is it easy to integrate that with Steam, or is it like, do you need to log on?
Uh, well, you just make an account and you just buy it as an online store, and you just download it DRM free.
Okay, so it's like a standalone game.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's not gonna be, it's not Steam dependent.
No, you don't need to log in to anything for it to work.
Yeah, no, you just no, you don't. You just log in for the
Oh,
purchase, and then you download it and you have it on your computer, and that's it.
that is a system I can get behind.
I mean, I see the top comments here. It's like, I joined GOG for this.
Yeah, yeah. I'm probably just gonna go and buy it right now on GOG.
Yeah. It says like, it just says, I think over the years I've spent $100 plus on various Heroes of Might and Magic 3 games and expansions, and here I am buying it again. I'm playing on a netbook, and having a digital copy makes it so much easier than my physical copies. I joined Good Old Games to buy Heroes of Might and Magic 3. And it's like 1,500 users found this helpful.
Yeah. Yeah, and what do you have you ever played Heroes 4 though?
I did briefly.
Yeah. I mean,
It's
some people are swearing to that game.
Yeah,
I never kind of got into it.
yeah.
Uh, I remember the hype though before it came out. I
It,
remember it was insanely hyped, because Heroes 3 was so good.
yeah.
But yeah, I felt that it was a little bit too different. I don't know. I what did you feel about it?
I couldn't get really into it either, but I
Yeah.
saw um, Seth Talk's review of it,
Yeah.
and that was like, because of course his entire review is like a massive mountain of shit posting, but of
Yeah.
course at the same time as always, there is a solid review in there, and he brought out the points why he liked the game so much and why he thought it was underrated. And then
Yeah.
I could
Yeah.
see his point, and he brought up a lot of those things that are not like immediately apparent, like for example how walls and fortifications cost a shit ton of money, but they are essentially useless in a game. And
Yeah.
it's like a lot of these things that might be a little bit jarring to someone who just comes into it from Heroes 3.
Mhm. Yeah.
So yeah. And of course, one of the main characters of Heroes 4 is called Spasmaticus. I
Yeah.
gotta love that, and I think there's the main character of one of the expansions. I think that's for Heroes. Is that Heroes 3? Where essentially you felt that the budget had dropped insanely. So now that suddenly there's the one of the main guys is like the barbarian king Mongo.
Yeah, yeah. I think that a lot of the heroes are actually based on developers. Some of the faces. I think that I read that somewhere.
Could be. And if you look at the thumbnail preview, or like yeah, the preview of the Set Scene Talks Heroes of Might and Magic 4 review, you for some reason see a brief pregnant Vegeta, and then you see Goku throwing the spirit bomb on a guy in a wheelchair. So that's all you need to know.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. Only need to know, guys. Well, I think that that's kind of it on this segment, but we'll revisit it, won't we? Like we got a lot of more games for this kind of segment.
Absolutely. So if you like this segment, you know, leave
Like
a
and
comment.
subscribe.
Oh,
Like
please
and
do.
subscribe, people.
please do. We need your support, and of course, we always appreciate your feedback. For those
Yeah.
of you who listen on Spotify, I mean, if you feel like it or if you have some opinions, just hop on over to the YouTube channel and leave a comment there. Would really help us out. And of course, please let us know if you about the games that you know come back to like once a year, no matter how old it is, because we have a lot of those, and I'm sure you guys have too. Please let us know.
Oh yeah, and also remember to stay dank
And stay human.